Hey guys, Chris Cookin' Nashville here. It's going to be a quick one for you today. On this health vlog, we're going to talk about some really interesting experiments coming right up. All right, so health vlog wise this week, I'm feeling pretty good. I have gained a handful of pounds, like 3 or 4 pounds, but I think that is nothing more than some inflammation my body is hanging on to because schedules have been crazy. I've had a few keto type meals that have had some veggies in it, and when I do that on occasion, it doesn't bother me. But if I do it a few times, I can tend to hold on to a little bit of inflammation. So some little bit of inflammation there, but honestly, I'm still feeling really good. There's no problems with that. I think it's just a little bit of water weight. I'm not worried about it. That's not a big deal. Also, when that kind of stuff happens, 1, I don't panic, but 2, I care less about what my scale says, and I care more about how my pants fit and specifically how my duty belt at work fits. That's a really great way for me to know where I'm at with my health. I always check to make sure that my duty belt is not feeling tighter because it is one of those Velcro clip together type duty belts that has to go around the same spot on my waist every time. And if that feels a little bit tighter, then I know that there's a problem. But if it doesn't feel tighter or it doesn't have any kind of stretch or readjustment necessary, I'm not too worried about it. And it's not one that, stretches out over time as you wear it. It's not made to be able to do that. So the duty belt fits great. No problems, a little bit of inflammation, but overall, I feel pretty good. I was a little sick last week, so that's another thing to consider. Overall, everything is good this week. So we have some interesting experiments coming up. Starting in April, we're going to be doing some things, and this is all going to be right here on my YouTube channel, live for you guys to see week by week what's going on. So let me tell you what we're going to do. So for my own health goal type stuff, I am going to go fairly strict with my carnivore diet for April. I'm still going to use, some sauces and spices and little things like that, but I'm really going to cut down any of the little bits of ketovore type things with, the onion and the veggie type stuff going on here and there. A little bit of that has been kind of just part of my diet for the last few weeks. Not a big deal, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out for April because Ash has agreed that for April, she is going to try carnivore for the first time. As you guys know, Ash is keto, and she honestly does really, really well with the veggies, and she can do a much higher daily carb intake than I can without having any issues. Now, that being said, her weight loss has definitely stalled or just kind of, remained the same for a while. We don't really worry about that. We don't panic about that because it's not about the number on the scale. It's about how we feel and always working towards better health. And we're not really in a position where we believe that you can force your body to lose a bunch of extra weight by getting super strict and trying to beat it into submission. That's not really our approach. And I know some people do that kind of stuff, or where maybe they fast or they go super strict or they increase exercise or whatever to try to kickstart their weight loss. I get it. That's not really something that we do or something we even feel like we need to do or should do. As long as we're feeling good and we're eating things on the proper human diet, we don't really worry too much about that, as long as we're not gaining weight or feeling inflammation or other problems starting to happen. We just have patience and we keep doing what we're doing. That being said, it's been a while since she has lost weight. It's been a little while since I've lost some weight. Not something that I'm worried about, but we are going to see if we do a month here in April of me being more strict with my carnivore thing and her trying carnivore, just what's going to happen. She's never done carnivore before, but she's going to do this for the entire month of April, and we're just going to see how she feels, what happens with all of that. And again, this is the first time she's going to do this, so this is her dipping her toe into that carnivore pool with me, just to see how she feels comparatively to the keto diet that she has been doing for a long time. One of the things we're also going to do is track our weight just to see what happens. So she is actually going to be a part of my health vlogs for the month of April. We're going to be talking about our weight, how we feel, her experience on carnivore versus keto, and we'll be talking about some of the things like the different meals we're eating so that I can show you guys for her first month of carnivore, what is it that she is going to be eating. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that she not only enjoys this experience, but that there's no reason for us to worry about cheats with any kind of keto things or any of that sort of stuff. No spices and sauces we're going to do, and especially for her, since this is her first time doing carnivore and she does so well with keto, I'm not trying to do super strict meat, salt, water, low dairy. Like, I'm not trying to do that for her. This is just the first time that she's going to step into the world of carnivore, give it a shot, see how she feels. And at some point in time, we've talked about for her, it may be a good thing to do like a 90-day carnivore, fairly strict carnivore elimination diet that she could then add things back in the future, just to kind of see, are there things that bother her or cause inflammation or do other things that maybe she doesn't realize. That is something we want to do. Our schedule coming up starting in May and June and July, it's going to be a lot, and we're going to be traveling and doing some shows and all this kind of stuff. So this is one of those things, when you do something like this, you have to make sure you are thinking ahead and planning ahead to set yourself up to be successful. And we talked about this, and doing a 90-day elimination diet protocol for her with carnivore right now, that's going to be really difficult because we're probably going to end up eating out some because we're going to be traveling. It can be very difficult to try to stick to an elimination diet protocol when you're doing that. Now, you can go out and you can stick to, loose carnivore or dirty carnivore or ketovore or, even strict keto kind of stuff fairly well, but it's very difficult to stick to a strict carnivore elimination diet protocol and go out to eat. And if we're going to do the 90-day elimination diet, we've talked about that. For her, I think it's really important that if we were to do that, we stick very, very closely to almost like meat, salt, water, minimal dairy, just so that she could get a really true, accurate understanding of what that elimination diet protocol would do when she would then start adding some other things back in to go back in the ketovore and keto direction to really understand what was happening. Now, I've done this in the past, and that's how I know which spices and veggies and stuff do bother me and which ones don't bother me. And I've actually gotten even more flexible on that because doing 365 days on carnivore, so many things healed. Then when I've added some things back in, there's ones that, as long as I don't go too far, they actually don't bother me, even though they used to. And so I think there's some healing and some reduction of oxalates and different things that have happened over time. And I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so I don't fully understand all of the processes by which that happens, but things have really improved for me to where I have a little bit more flexibility than I used to. And not that I want to do that on a daily basis, but it is nice to just have the option, especially if we do things like go on tour and we go out to dinner, and I don't want to spend 3 times the amount of money by trying to get just meat in all of these restaurants everywhere every single time. I do that when I can, but if it's not an option, it's nice to have a little bit of flexibility with that and to know what I can have, what I can't have, and what will or will not negatively impact me, especially if we're on tour away from home. But for Ash, if we're going to do this and we're going to do a 90-day elimination protocol, I think that it would be very important to stick very strictly to that, and that's going to be very difficult to do while we're traveling. So we're planning ahead, and if you guys want to do something like this, I suggest you plan ahead. Think about what's coming, and not that every situation is ever going to be perfect, and there's going to be times where it's going to be difficult, and you just have to figure that out. That being said, if there's a time where you're like, man, there's a lot of stuff planned that I cannot work around, and this is going to be very, very difficult, maybe that's not the best time to try to do this for the very first time. Think about ways you can set yourself up for success. That's exactly what we're trying to do, and I would encourage you guys to do that. Whether it's keto, ketovore, carnivore, think ahead, set up a plan, and do everything you can to make yourself as successful with it as possible. You can only handle so many struggles and challenges and layers of difficulty at one time, so never give in and use it as an excuse, but always understand you're a human and you have to understand what you can really do. Nobody is perfect. Nobody can do all of this stuff just like that without having something along the way, whether it's a circumstance or a craving or something. Something is going to make this challenging, and you have to be in a position and in a mind frame where you are ready to stand up to those challenges. So just be intentional, set yourself up for success, have some grace with yourself, and realize you are not perfect. You're not a machine. That's okay. Just don't give in and use that as an excuse to then do whatever you want. Make a little bit of an improvement every single day. Take those baby steps in the right direction, and suddenly they start turning into big steps and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can improve over time. So what do you guys think? Do you want to do an April challenge with us? Would you like to try something with your carnivore diet, whether it's elimination, whether it's doing carnivore for the first time, maybe it's cutting out the dairy for April? I don't know. Whatever it is, but let me know if you guys would like to join us for an April challenge, and we could all talk about the comment section, what's been happening, how we're improving week by week. Maybe we could highlight some of the successes, and when we get to the end of April, we'll let you know what our results were, and maybe I could highlight some of your guys' results if you'd be willing to share them in the comment section of the videos. And maybe at the beginning of May, we could do a special video where we talk about some of those things. So let me know if you guys would be interested in doing something like that alongside of us. Share this with all of your friends so they can see what it is like for Ash to do carnivore for the very first time, because we're going to be open, real, raw, and honest about what all of the experiences are, and we're going to see what you guys think. We're going to see what happens. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Chris Cooking Nashville. Eat your meat, love your life, and I'm going to see you guys in the kitchen for some interesting health vlogs and the next recipe.